Chapter 10. Two things went through my head as I slowly crawled backward from the giant glowing eye that shone its attention through the gap in the storefront shutters. 1. It was so much bigger and scarier than I had expected it would be. 2. Annabella had been right, it did look vaguely like Catbus from Totoro, but the nightmarish eldritch horror remake. Next stop, my tummy, yummy yummy. Gambit, is that what I think it is? Panda asked, waddling over towards me as I was crawling backward. I immediately grabbed him and ran towards the back of the store, just as the light shining through the gap disappeared. Gritting my teeth hard, I jumped as high as I could, only for the whole world to explode in sound, light, and movement, as the enormous human-skinned sentient bus rammed through the store facade, crushing all the neat rows of clothes, bringing down part of the roof, and breaking the wall to the jewelry store next door. Somehow, I avoided being crushed or swallowed by the massive bus monster, and landed on its roof, which was unnervingly hairy, like my old neighbor Mike's back. There was only a small gap between its back and the ceiling, and I slid on the spongy skin, falling down to the floor a moment later, as it barreled into the back room, before beginning to make a slow turn to come back. Oh, God, Gambit, we've gotta go. Yeah, no shit. I yelled as I sprinted out through the hole that had been a shuttered door and window seconds ago. The loud-as-hell voice rang out again from the back of the ruined tailor shop, while I bolted down the sidewalk, trying to put as much distance between myself and the monster. Next stop, don't run when you can take the bus. Don't listen to it. I wasn't going to. I yelled, before kicking off from the ground in a leap that sent me just high enough that I could grab hold of a storefront sign and crawl up onto the roof of the building. From there I continued running down parallel to the street, while sounds from behind made it obvious the bus was in pursuit. You think it's tracking me with the goddamn beacon? I asked. Could be. Hey, I have an idea, bring out the looking glass. What? Just do it. Inventory, I said, maneuvering through the screen while trying not to trip on the flat roofs I was parkering across. I selected the looking glass and it dropped into my hand. What now? Stop for a second and look at it. Maybe it'll tell you how to escape it or something. That's stupid, I'm not doing that. If I slow down, it'll catch me. Just be really quick. I skidded to a halt, spun on the heel of my new fancy shoes, then lifted the looking glass up in front of my right eye and stared at the rapidly approaching monstrosity, level 62. Human Bus World Boss X. Yummy yummy, another human for my tummy. A human bus is what happens when we let the system do its own thing during the transformation of a world in preparation for the great game. A lot of it is automated YC, because it's a lot of work to transform a whole planet. A fascinating thing about a human bus is that it grows stronger the more it eats. They start out at level 55, which should tell you everything you need to know about the one you're currently dealing with. My main advice for when dealing with a human bus is, run. But if you do try to fight it, we'll be sure to record your death and replay it on our monitors here at the office. That's right, we have an office. We're civilized, after all. Image. As soon as the pop-up appeared, I tossed the looking glass back into my inventory and continued running down the rooftops, while Panda read the description out loud for me, and quite frankly did a terrible impression of the bus's creepy ear-splitting voice. Wait. The people running this great game have an office? It's good to know we aren't dealing with barbarians at least, Panda mused. Next stop, I can smell you. You don't have a nose, you creep. Panda heckled it from atop my shoulder. I clicked the pop-up away and then quickly threw all my clothes into my inventory, feeling a massive boost of energy and speed, while Panda shamefully covered his beady eyes. Skill trigger. birthday_suit is now in full effect. It felt as though a fire was coming out between my cheeks as I flew 4 yards with every stride that I took across the rooftops, but the human bus wouldn't lose track of me so long as the beacon shone above my head. Plus, I didn't have infinite stamina, let alone enough for more than a minute of running, exhausted as I already was. Panda. What's the nearest public facility around here? The wind whooshed past my ears to an almost deafening extent, but I somehow still heard his answer. To the left at the end of the road, and then a few blocks down is a kindergarten. Why do you know that? I don't like what you're implying with that tone. Panda shouted, as I spun 45 degrees left on my heel, all my non-family-friendly bits swishing with the sudden change in momentum. Then I zoomed towards the edge of the roof and leapt. I ended up flying across the road and even clearing the rooftops of the buildings on the other side, landing in a back alley in a tumble that scraped my naked skin all over. Ouch, ouch, ouch. I whimpered, then ran down the alleyway, until I came out into a new smaller street, which I followed until I reached a larger road that took me in the direction Panda had indicated. In the distance, the bright headlights of the human bus shone over the tops of the buildings, while its loud voice kept calling out for me, though I thankfully couldn't hear it well enough to pick out words. My breathing was ragged by the time I found the kindergarten, but I had made it here in record time. With my birthday_suit in full effect, I was easily the fastest person alive at the moment, though it would probably change once more players began investing into their movement speed. When I began working up to the front door of the surprisingly large institution, Panda tapped me on my cheek and said, "What the hell are you doing, Gambit?" "What?" "I'm going in here to hide from the bus, obviously." "Like that?" he asked, gesturing down my body. "Oh. Even in an apocalypse, there were still some things you just didn't do." I pulled up my inventory and clicked one of the 2 suits I stashed away. As soon as I pulled it out of the screen, it popped into existence on my body, probably because I had unequipped it using the inventory before. With my propriety restored, I pushed open the glass door to the kindergarten and walked in. It struck me, right as the dungeon announcement appeared, that I could probably use my looking glass to get a read on the potential challenge before just going in headfirst. Warning! Now entering Level 10 Dungeon Bungo's Playroom. Chapter 11. I stumbled into a carpeted room with colorful walls, spinning around to find that, just like with the pool room's dungeon, the entrance was nowhere to be found. What's more, I realized my perspective was off. "Did I shrink?" I asked Panda. "I don't think so. I think everything else is just much bigger." As I looked around at my ominously cheerful surroundings, I saw how nearby plastic chairs, old and worn toys, and kindergarten-like furniture were all at least twice as big as they ought to be. The room I was in, a large windowless box with 3 connecting hallways, was also 16 feet to the ceiling, if not more. Is this how a child would experience the world? I wondered, not really remembering my childhood well enough to recall what it had been like. "Forget children, this is how I see the world," Panda said. "Speaking of plush eyes, look," I said, pointing to a human-sized teddy bear slumped against a rainbow-colored dresser. "It's one of your kind. First off, I don't think that's part of the scenery, and secondly, how dare you? It's like comparing humans to apes. I'm way more civilized and evolved, thank you." I pulled out the looking glass and held it up to my right eye as I looked across the room to the teddy bear that was as tall as me. Level 6? Playroom Bear Enemy X. I'll hug till you pop. With the size of a human, these teddy bears can seem quite imposing, but all they really want is a hug. Just like constrictor snakes, Playroom bears have evolved the ability to incapacitate their prey by wrapping their limbs around them and squeezing until the lungs go *pop*. And like snakes, they devour their food whole. Their tummies grow to accommodate the size of their meal, and they are able to fit at least 3 people in there at once. How impressive, wouldn't you say? So, what are you waiting for? Go give it a hug. Image. When I tapped the pop-up away, the teddy bear began lumbering upright sluggishly, and I cast my eyes around the room for any other threats, before marching towards it. As soon as it was standing on its 2 feet, its mouth opened wide, the sound of tearing fabric filling the air. Then it lifted its arms and began running at me. That's so much scarier than I thought it would be, based on the description, Panda commented, as I quickly dodged out of the way of the bear, before it could grab me. Failing to catch me, the bear stumbled a few steps, before languidly turning to face me and charging again. Instead of attempting to dodge a second time, I ran to meet it, sidestepping at the last second and torpedoing my fist into its stomach. My gauntleted knuckles hit with enough force to leave an exit wound on its back, through which red fluff exploded out of, raining down to the floor slowly, as the playroom bear fell face first onto the floor. I wasn't entirely sure it was dead, so I pulled my fist back and rammed it down on the back of its head. On impact, the bear's overlarge head produced a violent crunch and flattened, though the fabric of its head was containing whatever inner mass had been crushed, like a burst watermelon trapped in a plastic bag. That was unnecessarily gruesome, Panda said. At least I know it's dead. As I looked down at the teddy bear and its deflated head, I wondered about something. Do you think there's a way to see my level progress like what it shows when I level up? As the words left my mouth, it triggered a pop-up window to appear with the exact information I was looking for. You are currently level -4. Unspent attribute points, 1. Points already invested, 3. Kills required for level -5. 6/15. Image. Huh. It seems like maybe there could be more ways to query the system for information like this, Panda speculated. I thought about it, then said a string of words in a row, testing his theory. Map. World map. Dungeon map. Kill count. Ability overview. Teleport. Exit dungeon. Friend list? None of them worked. Try unalive. I'm not gonna try that. Knowing them, they'd actually put that in. Ah, probably right. What about unequip all? Why? Just try it. I sighed. Unequip all. My suit, underwear, socks, and shoes, as well as the looking glass I'd hastily put in my pocket. All of it vanished into my inventory in the blink of an eye. For some reason, my punch glove stayed on, perhaps because it didn't count as clothing. Skill trigger. Birthday_suit is now in full effect. Why did that work? Gambit. You pervert. Put your clothes back on. I gritted my teeth in annoyance and navigated through my inventory screen to re-equip my suit and everything else. 2 achievements followed in quick succession. Congratulations! You have unlocked an achievement. X. A moral pervert went fully nude in a school zone. It may be the literal apocalypse of your world, with all miners of dirt transported to our children's zone until they mature, but we'd like you to know that we here at the Great Game Headquarters adhere to a moral code, which you have grossly violated. From now on, every time you move to a new area, you must inform your neighbors of your criminal history or face the wrath of our Child Protective Services. They've got dogs. The scary kind. Reward: you're on the registry. Congratulations! You have unlocked an achievement. X. Brute forced a system command. You brute forced a system command, becoming the first player to utilize unequip all, which, let's face it, is a nonsensical command that the system refuses to let us throw out. But as with anything nonsensical in the great game, it's all just part of the madness. As a reward, here are 2 more commands. Rewards: inspect and color-blind mode. Image. I'd never have guessed those, Panda said, after reading the pop-ups. Also, you're on the private registry. Why would they put in a color-blind mode? If it's a game-centric apocalypse, doesn't it make things fairer? Activating color-blind mode. Whoa, that's weird, said the plushie. It's an actual color-blind mode, I remarked, impressed. All the colors had shifted, with reds and yellows becoming brownish, blues and purples becoming just gradients of blue, along with the general brightness of all colors softening to something mellower. Deactivating color-blind mode. Really makes you reconsider how evil the people running this thing are, doesn't it? No. What the hell are you talking about? Panda continued, ignoring my words. I wonder if they also help people with disabilities be able to join the great game. Or terminally ill patients. Anyone in a hospital is probably a monster now. Oh. Right. Status, I said, then tried to apply my available point to perception, but received an error. Error. Unable to invest point in chosen attribute. Please pick another. I sighed and clicked on Vitality instead. Level -4. Gambit System Glitch X. The red stuff in this bar is liquid love. Or maybe it's blood. We here at the tooltip department don't actually know what's in it. Stats. Health, not good. Stamina. Armor, plastic bottle suit. Carry weight, 1000 pandas. Top speed, carriage. Mana, literally 0. Attributes. Strength, 2,300 pounds. Dexterity, platypus. Intelligence, TBD. Vitality, tomahawk. Athleticism. Perception, yes. Wisdom, not applicable. Defense, plastic bottle. Abilities. Passives. Punch. Harder. Glitch, insanity, inanimate voices. Math. Multiply, punch, birthday _suit image. They are really railroading me here, I commented. Your vitality now says tomahawk. Isn't that a weapon? There's such a thing as a tomahawk steak, White. No. Is it good? He asked. It was clear he was hungry, which brought a lot of uncomfortable questions to mind. Yeah, if done right. Though any terrible cook can mess up prime meat. Speaking of food, do you smell that? I asked, sniffing the air. Is that the smell of a family-sized pepperoni and pineapple pizza? You can tell the size of it from the smell. Stop talking and find that pizza. I followed my nose, as I moved through a spacious hallway that led from my starting room, before arriving in a vast hall with a ball pit, tube slide, swings, seesaws, and many other things you might find at a fast food chain's playground. The floor was no longer a carpet, but instead a spongy asphalt-like material, which would definitely scrape the skin off your knees if you slipped on it. Near to the doorway I entered through was a table too tall for me to reach, as the theme of everything being humongous was still in effect even here. I climbed up onto a plastic chair next to it, which was rather undignifying, and then from there reached up onto the enormous table, where a massive pepperoni and pineapple pizza was laying across the malleable plastic cover that draped over the table. Panda immediately leapt off my shoulder and started running across the table. "Don't eat it!" I yelled. "You'll get dirty and I'll have to wash you." Panda skidded to a halt on his stumpy jointless legs. "What about poison?" "That too, I guess," I added as I caught up to him. The plushie waddled forward with some apprehension all of a sudden, and I followed close behind him. I was starving too, after all. When I reached the edge of the normal table-sized pizza, I pointed my hand at it and tried the new command I'd learned, inspect. Playroom Pizza X. If you don't mind the taste of the plastic cover that has seeped into the crust of this enormous pizza, then you'll probably be fine eating it. Just be warned, if Bungo notices that rats have been in the food for the children he is meant to entertain, he'll go berserk. Image. With a mouthful of pineapple, I asked, "Who's a Bungo?" No sooner had the words left my mouth than the sound of squeaky clown shoes came down the hallway I'd entered from. Chapter 12. As the sound of squeaking steps echoed loudly down the hallway close to the table, which I was standing atop of with a pizza slice-sized piece of pineapple in my hands, a man's voice yelled from the ball pit 20 yards away further into the room, "You've got to hide." I didn't need to be told twice, as I scooped up Panda in my arms, as well as a wheel-sized pepperoni piece, and leapt off the sticky plastic table. While sailing through the air, the squeaking steps grew louder and were accompanied by slobbering breathing, as though the person making the sound was drooling profusely. Running across the playground asphalt, I was glad to be wearing shoes, since I knew it would have cut up my feet otherwise. Panda was, somehow, biting small pieces off the large pepperoni piece I'd scored. When I spotted the barely visible face of the person who'd yelled, whatever was coming emerged out from the hallway and I leapt headfirst into the ball pit. My face immediately kissed a football-sized hollow plastic ball, before I sunk down the pit and hit the bottom, where small hills formed from congregated dust bunnies, rock-sized pebbles, and band-aids the length of blankets were all gathered. "Yuck," Panda said, the sight clearly stealing his appetite. I bit into the pepperoni, and said, "Hardly the worst I've seen." "Shh!" Whisper yelled an emaciated-looking man from nearby, though he was hidden by the large plastic balls that separated us. Though it wasn't easy with the balls constantly slipping away under my shoes, I managed to climb up to the top of the pit and peek out at the thing that had my new acquaintance so spooked. I couldn't help but swallow hard when I saw the 12-feet-tall morbidly obese clown with a full kit of unsettling makeup. Cheaply made costume with purple, light blue, and red. A grin that seemed to reach all the way back to his ears, with teeth like hypodermic needles, and a long glistening stream of red drool, as well as open sores covering his purple-gray skin wherever makeup hadn't been properly applied or the hem of his outfit didn't cover. In short, it was a monstrosity of a clown. As silently as I could manage, I pulled my looking glass out and peered at the giant through it. Level? Bungo the Clown Boss X. Bungo loved children. Bungo the Clown absolutely loves children, which is a shame for him, because we removed them from your world. Now this big sad clown wanders the halls of his many playrooms, making sure the toys, food, and playing facilities are protected from rats. In case you were wondering, you're a rat. At least in Bungo's eyes. Also, let me give you a hint, it'd be a bad idea to fight Bungo head-on, as he is functionally immortal. Just like how the cast of our beautiful dungeons are manifold, so too are the requirements for beating them. Have fun figuring out how to get out of his playroom. Image. We're screwed, Panda whispered. You only know how to punch things. Are you calling me stupid? Shh, said the guy again. You know what? Fuck this. Fuck their rules. I'm killing this ugly-ass clown. I began crawling out of the pit, disturbing dozens of the plastic balls, the sound of which immediately drew the giant clown's attention away from the table, where he'd been staring at the pizza which Panda and I had helped ourselves to. You psycho. You'll get us all killed. A rat. Came a blaringly loud dumb-sounding voice from the giant, before the ground started quaking as it began lumbering towards the ball pit with squeaking steps. I squared my shoulders as I marched forward to meet the towering monstrosity that, quite frankly, scared the shit out of me. Gambit, if you wanted to unalive yourself, you should have just let the human bus catch you. Be quiet, Panda, I need to focus. Squeak. 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 When only 8 yards separated us, I broke into a sprint. Unequip all! I shouted, violating the moral ethics of the great game for the second time in the last hour. Skill trigger. Birthday_suit is now in full effect. Energy blossomed to life in my legs and I leapt from the awful plastic asphalt and flew high enough into the air that I was face to face with the monstrous clown. Time seemed to slow, as the clown's large bug-eyed stare struggled to track me, and I pulled my right fist back, preparing for the rain of punches. Punch. Harder. Do you really have to enunciate the parentheses every time? Panda commented, just before the attack went out. Activating script, punch. Harder. Image. If punch does not equal kill, punch. Harder. My punch glove shot forward as though it had been fired from a cannon and hit with enough force to. Well, it actually didn't do anything. Reactivating script, punch. Harder. Image. If punch does not equal kill, punch. Harder. My fist shot forward again, the tripling effect of the punch glove already letting itself be known, as the resultant impact produced a sound like a thunderclap. But it wasn't enough, so my fist pulled back, and, in the same moment, my passive triggered. Activating script, math.multiply, punch. Image. Math.multiply, punch. This time, the punch sent a jolt of electricity back up my arm when it connected, and produced the shockwave that lifted all the dust from the floor and pushed it away in a ring around us. But even this wasn't enough, so my ability reactivated again. But this was what I'd been counting on. I had 3 separate effects multiplying the damage of each other, and, though I wasn't any mathematician, I had played enough poorly thought-out games to know that such multiplication was how you utterly trivialized the challenge of a game. And if I was understanding the logic behind the math.multiply punch ability correctly, it took the first 2 punches and multiplied them with each other, and, depending on when the tripling effects of the punch glove entered the equation, the result was that every third punch was insanely powerful. What I didn't know, however, was whether my punch. Harder ability would then take that third punch and double it, in which case, my 6th punch would perhaps blow a hole through the side of the dungeon boundary. When the reactivation happened a 4th time, the punch was even stronger than the 3rd, and a 5th quickly followed behind it, with the first bit of damage becoming visible on the ugly clown's face. Then came the 6th punch with another activation of the multiply passive, and the resultant shockwave sent everything, me included, flying away from the impact site, where a crater had formed in the floor and parts of the ceiling had fallen down. Even as I tumbled head over heels across the playroom floor, scraping my skin off in bits and pieces with every new rotation, I knew I had slain the giant clown, because of the way punch. Harder worked. The first time I'd used it against the psychiatrist, I'd performed nearly 20 punches in what in real time amounted to less than 2 seconds, and it seemed like the ability lasted until either I perished or my target did. I slammed into a seesaw with enough force to dislocate my shoulder, before violently spinning into the air, cracking my head against the ceiling, then falling back down onto a metal slide that was as hot as a stove for some reason. As my skin began to sizzle, I immediately rolled off the slide and collapsed on my back next to it. "I did it, Panda!" I exclaimed, the adrenaline high and self-satisfaction of pulling off something the system had told me was impossible making me delirious. Gambit. What? I asked, unable to wipe the smile off my face. Your arm is. How do I put it? I lifted my right arm into the air above me. Except there was no arm. There was barely a stump left. Everything from my elbow joint to my hand was just gone. The tremendous impact had utterly atomized my limb, while also cauterizing the stump in the same go. "Thank God they have the full recovery reward for beating a dungeon," I said. "Well, about that. I don't think you beat the dungeon." As if to clarify this, an achievement popped up. "Congratulations! You have unlocked an achievement. X. Soft lock. Now look what you did. The great game has been rigorously tested on countless worlds like yours, and we ironed out all the serious bugs many cycles ago, so this really isn't meant to be possible. You were supposed to follow after Bungo and sneak into his workshop once he unlocked the door, but, now that he's dead, there's no way you'll be able to do that anymore. In short, you're stuck with no way to clear the dungeon. I'm sure everyone else stuck in here with you are pretty happy about this new development, especially that one guy in the ball pit who had figured out how to clear it. Reward: I hope you're proud of yourself. Image. Well. Shit. Chapter 13. I repeatedly slammed my right shoulder into the seesaw to put it back into its socket, letting out a pained string of expletives when it finally happened. Afterwards I awkwardly re-equipped my suit, sleeveless shirt, socks, underwear, and shoes through the inventory screen with my left hand, feeling pretty stupid about the reckless behavior that had cost me an arm. To really ram it home, an achievement popped up. Congratulations! You have unlocked an achievement. X. One-armed bandit lost your dominant arm. Ha! Reward: left-handed scissors. Image. A pair of violet-colored children's paper scissors appeared in the air and landed in the palm of my hand, but I immediately threw them away with an annoyed grunt. I hate this dumbass system. Careful, Gambit, that guy is coming over here. I turned to look towards the ball pit, which I'd flown past following my killing strike, and saw that a man was storming towards me. He looked to be in his 40s and had a receding hairline of brown hair. He wore a blooded blue and yellow Hawaii shirt and khaki shorts, and there were a few ugly sewing patterns on his exposed legs and arms. "Hey pal. What the devil did you just do?" "I killed the boss." "And how did that pan out for you?" "Huh?" "He seems angry," Panda remarked. "Yeah, no shit. What did ya just say to me?" "Relax, alright. Relax? You're telling me to fudging relax when I've been trapped in this godforsaken asshole of a place? I finally found out how we were meant to escape, but then you went and screwed it all up. It's somehow more intimidating when he's trying not to swear," Panda remarked. "You must be the one the achievement mentioned," I realized. "Oh, I got one too. Let me tell you what it says. It's titled Stolen Glory and reads as follows: You were on the right path to getting everyone out of here. You would have been the hero of Castleberg. But the crazy and evil Gambit, who just broke out of the asylum, has come to sow chaos and ruined your masterfully laid plan. Is the system seriously trying to pit us players against each other?" I groaned, looking to Panda. "You'd better look at me when I'm talking to you," said the angry man, and suddenly punched me in the mouth. Even though there was a clear strength difference between us, it still wasn't pleasant. "Oh. Don't do that." "Or what, guy? You think you're tough because you can kill a big clown? Gambit, you shouldn't hit him, you'll vaporize his body." I looked the angry Hawaiian shirt guy in his eyes and said, with as much sincerity as I could, "I'll find a way to get us out of here." "Oh, you wanna play the hero, huh, buddy? Listen here, I'm neither your pal, guy, or buddy. If you don't back the fuck up, I will reduce you to a crumbled sack of bone flour." Was that an attempt to threaten him? Panda asked. Because it wasn't very scary. I was about to answer him when suddenly a pain blossomed to life in my stomach. I looked down and saw that Hawaiian shirt had stabbed me with a screwdriver in my abdomen. "You fucking asked for this," I told him, gritting my teeth as I pulled my arm back and sent a punch right into the side of his jaw. Except, I had attempted to do it with my non-existent right arm. Hawaiian shirt looked at me, then laughed mockingly. I pulled my head back, then slammed it into his, our foreheads meeting in a loud smack that immediately knocked the guy out cold and scrambled my thoughts. "You might have killed him," Panda muttered, assessing the unconscious guy from my shoulder. "Wasn't as pleasant as when I used my forehead against the nude," I commented. "He'll probably just get a concussion, which the system will fix when I find a way out. I feel like relying on the mercy of the system is exactly what got you in this bind you're in now. Please show some restraint, Gambit. I didn't even put my strength into it." "He must have been really weak," I said. I reached down and pulled the screwdriver out of my abdomen, releasing a grunt of pain as it left my body, before opening my inventory and bringing out the sewing kit. The screwdriver disappeared into my storage and was replaced with the box. There was just one problem now, or, well, two. I was right-handed. And I didn't know how to sew. "Panda, would you mind sewing me up?" "Can't, no opposable thumbs." I sighed. "Guess I'd better hurry up and find out how to leave then." "You could ask that girl over there," he said and pointed towards a young woman who had crawled out of a series of tubes she had been hiding in. It was kind of like one of those contraptions that children would enter and get lost in at the playground of a fast food restaurant. The young woman had a round face, black shoulder-length hair, and her figure was hidden beneath an XL dark gray hoodie with the print of a neon yellow smiley on the front. She looked around worried, before noticing me in the unconscious body I stood next to. As our eyes met, she froze in place. "Hey you!" I called to her. She did the "are you talking to me" gesture, and I waved her over with my stumped arm, which only seemed to worsen her expression into one of abject terror. I began walking towards her, before yelling across the room, "Do you know how to sew?" As my words were slowly absorbed into her mind, she seemed to visibly ease up, then began carefully approaching me. We met by a unicorn-shaped rocking chair on a spring. "Do you want me to sew your wound?" she asked. Her voice was very timid, but her large eyes seemed kind of crazed. Probably she had seen some horrific things. "Did you kill the clown?" she continued. "I did. I thought that was how I'd clear the dungeon." "It's not so bad in here," she commented. "I like the pineapple pizza and all the water fountains have various sodas in them. I found one in a different room that had Mount Dew. Do you know where the clown's workshop is?" "I'd like to hear about this fountain," Panda commented. "I can show you," she replied, then looked at the box in my hand. "What happens if you manage to get the workshop open? Are we all going to be thrown out from here? I heard that's what happened to someone else and his group when they completed the library maze." "Sounds like she doesn't want to leave," Panda commented. The girl nodded. "It's scary outside, I'd rather stay here." I blinked, realization taking a second to kick in. "Can you see this guy?" I asked, indicating Panda, who was seated on my shoulder. She nodded. "Am I not supposed to? He's very cute, although I never imagined he'd have a voice like that." "What's your name?" I asked her. "Bee, like like a bee. Like the bug that stings you and dies. They don't necessarily die from stinging you, at least not all types of bees." "Blowing my mind here, Bee," Panda commented. I was pretty sure he was just flattering her because he knew she could see and hear him. I sat down on the unicorn rocking chair and started undoing the bottommost buttons of my suit jacket, before repeating the steps with my sleeveless shirt. I showed her my abdomen and handed her the sewing kit box. "I already have one," she said, declining it. Just take it, I can't sew anyway. What if you get hurt again? She asked. I'll figure something out. B, listen to this. This is his second time losing his right arm. He's operating on luck and nothing else at this point. I'd offer to sew him up, but, as you can tell, I have no thumbs. The girl nodded. You do need thumbs for this. She opened the sewing kit and pulled out a needle which she fitted with a thread, then began carefully sewing tightly around my stab wound. I need to ask an uncomfortable question, B. What? She asked, her hands freezing in place. In your status menu, what does the red bar at the top look like? As the words left my mouth, the screen appeared, but I clicked it away immediately. Status? She asked, then pulled her head back in surprise. What's this? I can't make it go away. There's a little X in the corner, Panda told her. She reached out and pressed the air, before repeating the command, status. The bar at the top is 3/4 full. It looks almost like it's a horizontal tube of blood. 3/4. So she's borderline insane, and that's why she can see Panda. I doubt she is immune to the 100% insanity transformation like me. I just got an achievement, she said, surprised. What does it say? I asked. You can't see it. Nope. It's called Oh God, the voices, make them stop. And says that I'm 3/4 towards insanity. It gave me a reward called inanimate voices. That must be why you can see and hear Panda, I remarked. Other people can't. No. To their eyes he isn't even there. Do you have it too? The inanimate voices? I nodded. I'm maxed out on my insanity gauge. Isn't that supposed to turn you into a monster? Apparently, I'm glitched. Even my class is called System Glitch. I didn't get a class, I think, B replied. It doesn't say anything in the top right corner of your status screen? It says not applicable. What does the rest of your screen look like? Some words and numbers? I have 3 in all my attributes except dexterity, which is 4, and intelligence and wisdom, which are both 6. That seems pretty good, I guessed, having no idea how my attributes actually translated into quantifiable numbers. What level are you? 0, she replied. Let's see if we can't get you some levels then, it'll help you survive. She finished sewing me up, and the moment she snapped the thread with a scissor from the kit, the wound healed itself closed, which was an uncomfortable feeling, but not as bad as when Annabella had done it. Thanks for that, now come on, I said, standing up and giving her my left hand. B took it cautiously and then, congratulations. You have unlocked an achievement. X. Good Samaritan or Sketchy Ledger? Found a wayward miner. Almost as rare as glitched players or wayward miners. As a matter of course, all miners of any world participating in the great game are moved to our children's zone, where they can peacefully wait out their time until they mature into adults. However, the system isn't perfect, so sometimes a miner slips through the cracks and is left behind. Whether you're a good Samaritan who wish to help this lost child to safety or an amoral pervert, it would be in your best interest to contact Child Protective Services. They will find every wayward miner sooner or later, and those found to be preventing them from reaching the safety of our children's zone will be crucified on live broadcast during our game events. If you go the route of the Good Samaritan, you will be rewarded. Reward: Child Protective Services Flare Image Chapter 14. I scanned the achievement that had just popped a couple times to comprehend it fully, then glanced down my hand still holding B's, before looking to her face and asking, "Are you a kid?" "I'm 16, she replied. I frowned. I just got an achievement that basically said I should contact Child Protective Services or face public crucifixion. "They've been hunting me," she said. They are really scary. And they have dogs. Or well, I think they are supposed to be dogs. They are like aphid hybrids, but 40 feet tall, and their handlers are these ant-looking guys with baseball caps. I wonder if there's a theme going on, Panda mused. Why? I have been hunted by agents of the Great Game. They are Apatosaurus gracilicornis beetles. You know the Latin name for the five-horned rhinoceros beetle? That's literally the only Latin name for anything he knows, Panda quickly answered. Are you trying to embarrass me to impress her? I asked him, annoyed. Gambit. I'm not into kids, I'm just stating facts. I'm not a kid, B answered. Anyone under 18 is a kid in my eyes. Why do you have a stance on this? I asked, suspicious of his motives. I don't think I like what you're implying, Gambit. Shouldn't we get out of here? Asked the girl. Hawaiian shirt guy is waking up. I glanced over to the man, who was groaning loudly as he regained consciousness. Releasing my grip on her hand, I started jogging towards a hallway that lay behind the play tubes, hot metal slide, and a swing. B followed closely behind me as we went down the large corridor. No sooner had we rounded a corner than I heard Hawaiian shirt guy yell up a storm in the large room we'd just left. After taking another corner of the linear hallway, we came out into a rectangular room with another hallway at the end of it, and a large metal-braced wooden door in the center of the left wall. It clearly did not fit in, and it wouldn't take a genius to know that this was the door to the workshop that Bungo was supposed to open. Besides the door, there were large tables with more enormous wheels of pizza, as well as 5 big balloon animals. No sooner had we entered than all 5 of them started floating towards us. Stay behind me, I told B. Careful. They'll try to wrap around you and suck the air out of your body. That's actually pretty terrifying, Panda said, then leapt from my shoulder and down onto B's head. Good luck, Gambit. Inventory, I said, then pulled the screwdriver out. Armed with a type of weapon I was familiar with, I charged forward and stabbed the flat tip into the closest balloon animal, which, if I had to guess, was supposed to be a poodle. My weapon went straight through it, popping every inflated segment of its body and sending the airless rubbery husk to the floor. A balloon sword with a coiled blade surged right for me and slapped into my right shoulder. My body was flung right into a wall from the ridiculous strength of the seemingly gentle impact, and I heard a concerning crack from my left side. Fortunately, it only hurt a lot. Ow. Bastard. I jumped straight back at the balloon sword, dodging a slash from its rounded blade, before performing a slash of my own, which popped the coiled sword, but didn't get the handle. The deflated monster started falling to the floor, while the other 3 moved in, and I quickly stomped on it to burst the last surviving segments. Another balloon poodle lashed out at me, but I dealt with it in a single jab, before sidestepping a trunk slam from an elephant and kicking away a monkey that tried to grab my leg. I lunged forward and popped the head of the balloon elephant, then stabbed it 2 more times with the screwdriver to kill it, before stomping on the head of the monkey with a satisfying pop and finishing it with another. I exhaled slowly. It's a lot harder to stab with my left hand. B wandered over, looking at the deflated balloons. I've seen those creatures suck all the air out of 3 different people. You made killing them look easy. Well, I did break a rib I think, but it wasn't so bad. What would you've done if you didn't have the screwdriver? Panda asked. I'd have used my teeth. That's gnarly. I don't think I could fight one of those on my own, B commented. To be fair, this dungeon is level 10. Is your level higher than that then? That explains why you make it look easy. Well. His level is -4, Panda explained. Did you just say minus? Let's not dwell on it and instead I'll find you an enemy you can kill. What about the door? The plushie asked. I pulled out my looking glass and stared at it, but nothing happened, so I instead walked over to it and said, "Inspect. Workshop door X." This inconspicuous door leads to Bungo's workshop, where he makes all the toys for the children that visit his playrooms. You're not allowed to enter. Image. B walked up next to me and repeated the phrase, "Inspect." She tapped the to make the pop-up go away, then said, "I don't see a keyhole anywhere." I closed the pop-up as well, then walked forward and put my left shoulder against one of the segments of the double door, before pushing with all my strength. Although there came a creak from the wood, it didn't budge an inch. Guess I'll have to punch it down. That's a terrible idea, Panda said. If it doesn't work, you're back to being Mr. No Arms, but this time for good. Is that how you lost your right arm? The girl asked. Yep. But I killed the clown at least, so it wasn't a bad trade. Don't forget that killing the clown soft-locked the dungeon. Zip it, Panda. I am without zippers, he replied. Then stitch it. I looked around the room, but there were no other killer toys, so I began making my way towards the hallway and the back, hopping up to grab a huge piece of pepperoni, which was stuck to an enormous slice of pizza that drooped off one of the large tables. "Come on," I said, and was about to put my looking glass away, when I stopped and swung it around to peer at my companion. Just in case. Before it locked on her, however, it targeted one of the deflated balloon animals, level 5. Balloon creation enemy X. Asterisk unsettling breathing noises asterisk. Bungo is a very talented balloon artist and he can make anything that children ask of him. Given that these balloons are filled with oxygen harvested from rats, they have peculiar tastes. These tastes include shoving their bodies down your throat and sucking all the air from your body. Yes, that means even your organs and bloodstream, as well as your lungs. It's not a fun way to go. This enemy is dead. Level 0. B. Player. X. Hey, I'm B. Class, not applicable. Main attributes, intelligence and wisdom. This player is looking at you right now and thinking, why is he staring at me through a magnifying glass? She seems cautiously friendly towards you. This is a wayward minor, please locate your nearest Child Protective Services member and alert them. Image. Image. Why are you staring at me through a magnifying glass? It's an item I was rewarded after clearing 2 dungeons. What does it do? She asked. I handed it to her. Look at me through it. She lifted it up to her right eye, which, from my perspective, enlarged its dark green iris as well as some small dark freckles around her nose. With her pale skin, green eyes, and freckles, I almost thought she could be a ginger, if not for the black hair. Then I realized that her hair was dyed black, because the roots were a lighter color. I was about to ask her about it, when she said, why does it say look at me, I'm on the news? As your phrase? It's probably better you don't know. It also calls you a cheater and an amoral pervert, she said, becoming visibly confused. All right, I think that's enough of that, I said, but before I could take it out of her hands, she looked at Panda who was back on my shoulder and froze. I saw how the color drained from her already pale face as she read whatever had appeared. Then suddenly the lens of the looking glass exploded in her hands and she began screaming. B collapsed to the ground and started writhing, while I was frozen in decision paralysis, not knowing whether to hold her still or back away. Panda. What do I do? I don't know, you big stupid idiot. Help her. Oh God, I muttered as I knelt down and tried to stop her from twisting and spasming. Something like a shock wave punched me off my feet and sent me halfway down the hallway we'd been heading towards, where I landed painfully on my tailbone and skidded for a few feet, fraying the ass of my neat dress pants. I immediately got back up and ran over to B, who was letting off a ton of steam and glowing faintly. With a groan, she pushed herself to her knees, while something like ashy particles were floating off of her body. "Are you okay?" I asked. As the smokescreen cleared away, I saw how her body had changed and transformed into something not quite human. 2 feet long light green beetle antennae were sprouting from her forehead and folded back, almost looking like horns. Her skin color was likewise green, and the area below her neck, where the clavicle bones should be visible, was covered in chitinous plate-like armor, which also covered her forearms and hands. Her black dyed hair was the same as before, and, despite the new skin color, her freckles were still visible, but her eyes were now a mix of 2 colors, red and green. The most prominent addition to her body, however, was a large set of carapace plates on her back, which were green as well, and seemed to hide a pair of wings. I picked up the looking glass, with its fragmented lens, and looked at her through the ruined glass. Level 0. B. Enemy. X. Class, Beetle Girl. Main attributes, intelligence and wisdom. This player has succumbed to insanity and been transformed into an enemy. Actually, that's not supposed to be possible. The system isn't meant to be able to transform wayward minors. They are not even supposed to have an insanity gauge. She seems, group of question marks, towards you. This is a wayward minor. Please locate your nearest Child Protective Services member and alert them. Image. B pushed herself to her feet and stumbled towards me. I took a step back. Surprised by my reaction, she looked down at herself and her hands. "I've become a monster," she said. Chapter 15. B. Are you okay? I asked cautiously. From what the looking glass appraisal had shown me, she had gained a class called Beetle Girl, but the system didn't seem to know if she was an enemy or not. "My body hurts a lot," she complained. "And all my joints are very stiff." "Well, they are covered in chitin," Panda said. "Panda, shut up." B looked terrified at what she had become, but that exact mannerism was what made her still seem human, despite the obvious changes. I unlocked some achievements: Insane in the Membrane, Buckin, which praised my appearance and called my carapace beautiful, and Classy, which gave me 3 skills. What are they? Beetle Breezy, which sounds like gliding that apparently uses my wings. Beetle Brawn, a passive that increases my defense and strength by 20%. And Beetle Bolt, which allows me to fire a small stinger from my palm, somehow. "That sounds pretty good," I remarked. "A lot of alliteration," Panda commented. I wonder why I didn't lose my mind. I watched someone outside turn into a skeleton after he went insane, and all the skin and flesh melted off his body. He became violent and started attacking everyone. I checked you with my looking glass, and it seems like wayward minors like you aren't supposed to be able to turn into monsters, let alone go insane. You went insane too, right? So why do you look human? I shrugged. I kind of want to try out my new powers, she said, sounding enthusiastic for the first time since I'd met her. Although, the fact that she was so quick to overcome the terror of turning into a monster was a bit disconcerting. I grinned. Then let's go find some stuff to kill. Game event announcement. The first event of the great game will begin in exactly 1 hour. Mandatory participation is in effect. Well, shit. If we don't get out of here by then, I won't get a full recovery to have my arm returned. Maybe they'll heal everyone before their event? B guessed. Let's not rely on such mercy from these guys, I replied. I tried to retain my enthusiasm from moments prior, as we made our way through the hallway leading out of the rectangular room with the workshop door. However, I couldn't shake the building dread of what the system and the great games orchestrators had in store for us. If everything I'd already seen was anything to go by, a lot of people would die. What worried me most was the several mentions of this thing being broadcasted somehow. The implications were gruesome, since it meant that our struggles and deaths were all for the entertainment of others, as though we were slaves in a coliseum. The hallway led to a carpeted room filled with teddy bears. The human-sized ones. "Careful," I told B. "These might all be enemies." "What? All of them?" She scanned the room. "There's like more than 30. No sooner had the words left her mouth than some of them started coming to life. "You get to try out your beetle bolt, isn't that nice?" Panda said cheerfully. "Don't let them get near you." "Oh, and aim for the heads," I told her and began running for the closest one, pulling my left arm back. As it began charging for me with its arms out, I hopped to the side and jabbed my fist into its head, producing a squelching crunch on impact and sending the bear to the floor. "Watch out!" B yelled, as another one was right on me, but, before I could defend myself, a buzzing drill sound preceded something, which sheared through one of its stitched eyes and instantly killed it. I watched in surprise as the large plushie fell to the floor, then turned to look back at the girl. "Did you do that?" "Yes. It came out of my hand somehow. It was really cool. Thank you." "Oh, watch out, 2 more." I instinctively hopped sideways, just as a bear charged past, stumbling as it missed its attempted grab. The one behind it received the heel of my shoe to its nose, the impact of which left a crater. I quickly followed this up with a punch directly in the same spot, sending an explosion of red fluff everywhere. I heard the buzzing sound again and saw the other bear get pierced through by 2 back-to-back beetle bolts, though the aim was wonky, so it remained alive. Before it could charge for my new friend, I rammed into it and sent us both to the floor. It began struggling against my weight, and was somehow stronger than me, despite its soft body. Its struggles didn't last long though, as a third bolt went through its head, killing it. "Careful!" I yelled to her. "You could have hit me." "Sorry. I'm having a lot of fun though." "She's psychotic, just like you," Panda mused, sounding excited about the fact. I hopped off the back of the dead bear, but no sooner had I gotten back to my feet than I was grabbed from behind and squeezed in a vice grip. "Arg, fuck. Let go of me," I yelled, as the pressure on my arm and torso started producing uncomfortable pops and cracks from my body, as though I was in one of those horrendous chiropractor videos. My struggles were not enough to break free, despite my high-strength attribute, which was probably due to my missing arm. A buzzing drill sound filled my ears, before a projectile flew right between my legs, uncomfortably close to Lil Gambit. The sound of tearing fabric came from the bear that held me, and it quickly lost its balance, allowing me to wrestle free, before stomping on its head with my heel. Crunch. 3 more bears came at me, but B and I quickly dispatched them. When it was clear that no more monsters would rise from the pile of teddy bears, I fell to my ass on the carpet with a sigh of relief. "Congratulations! You have leveled up. X. You have reached level -5. Plus 1 new attribute point available to invest. Kills required for level -6. 4/15. Congratulations! You have unlocked an achievement. X. Leveled up -5. Reached level -5. We're still waiting on the agents to catch you and figure out this mystery, but, until then, you've unlocked. Oh no. Reward. Break ability. Image. I tapped on the name of the ability I was rewarded from hitting level -5, and it brought up a strange description. Break X. Ability. The first half of this ability seems to be missing, though it can still be utilized in this state. Target any non-living item, object, or other and break it down to its individual atoms. Cooldown, 12 hours. Image. First ability with a cooldown I've seen, I mumbled. Did you level up as well? B asked, coming over. I noticed how the palm of her right hand had a strange spiraling hole in the center, kind of like what I'd seen from the Beetle agents who shot flickets at me. I did. I'm level -5 now. I hit level 2. I've got points to invest now, but I'm not sure what to put them in. Can't go wrong with vitality, I said. It increases your stamina and health. She seemed to consider it as she sat down opposite me, while looking at what I assumed was her status screen. My Beetle Bolt uses mana, which is based on either intelligence or wisdom, as far as I can tell. It seems my limit is 6 shots right now, because I fired 5 and started feeling woozy. How do you get mana back? I asked. No idea. I thought maybe you knew. He has literally 0 mana, Panda remarked. Oh. Maybe if you meditate, you'll recoup spent mana. Meditate? She asked, as though that was the most insane thing she'd ever been told. Are you out of your mind, Gambit? Panda joined in. Why am I even putting up with this toxic harassment? I wondered to myself. Oh, I have a choice of skills from a level-up achievement, B then suddenly said. What did you invest your points in? I did a point in both wisdom and intelligence. I brought my status up, thought about it for a moment, then put my available point in athleticism. Level -5. Gambit System Glitch X. This text was definitely always here and not retroactively added once its erroneous omission was pointed out. Stats. Health, not good. Stamina. Armor, plastic bottle suit. Carry weight, 1000 pandas. Top speed, mountain bike. Mana, literally 0. Attributes. Strength, 2,300 pounds. Dexterity, platypus. Intelligence, TBD. Vitality, tomahawk. Athleticism. Perception, yes. Wisdom, not applicable. Defense, plastic bottle. Abilities. Passives. Punch. Harder. Break. Glitch, insanity, inanimate voices. Math. Multiply, punch, birthday _ suit image. Hey, B, is your status screen complete garbage as well? What do you mean? She asked. Like, does it say weird stuff? It's a lot of numbers, if that's what you mean? Oh, never mind. I guess it's just me that's got a bungled one then. Panda nodded. It is Japanese text and compares his vitality to meat dishes. What about your wisdom and intelligence, what do those say? To be determined and not applicable. What happens if you put points in them? I can't, it gives me an error if I try. Is it trying to keep you dumb? Panda burst out laughing. I gingerly pulled him off my shoulder with my left hand and then set him on B's lap. You can have this guy. I think I'm pretty much done with him. Hey. Don't be mad because she's speaking the truth. Panda, you're a bully. He put his fingerless arms on his hips and looked up at me with his beady eyes. Are you really going to abandon your best friend to a girl you just met? You're not my best friend, I replied. Panda looked shocked. Gambit. That was pretty mean, B said, patting the plushie on his head. Don't forget that looking at him with the looking glass literally made you insane. He's just misunderstood, she replied, ignoring my words. All the girls wanna fix me, Panda answered with a self-satisfied nod. Alright, enough of this nonsense. Let's get out of here. How? B asked, looking up at me as I got to my feet. The system gifted me with an ability that should do the trick, I told her. Chapter 16. I can't help but feel like all these abilities you get are a bit contrived, Panda commented, once more back on my shoulder. Why? Well, think about it. You were started in a high-level dungeon, but conveniently acquired an ability that allowed you to kill its boss. Then you got a passive that made your punch even stronger and allowed you to kill an agent that the system said was level 60. And now, after soft-locking this dungeon, you were given an ability to break down the door that leads out. I guess if you put it that way. But what about my birthday_suit passive? I've got no clue about that one, he admitted. What's that? B asked. What does the suit look like? Best you don't find out, Panda replied. Oh. You're keeping secrets from me, she said with a frown. Some things should stay secret. I nodded in agreement. We came out of the hallway and into the rectangular room with the deflated balloon animals and the large workshop door. No sooner had we come into view of the door than a man pointed at me and yelled, "You! Oh, look, it's Hawaiian shirt guy." He began stomping towards us, while 3 other people who'd been with him stayed behind. There was a middle-aged man in a ruined suit, a woman in a pink jogging set, and a morbidly obese green-haired person whose gender I couldn't quite place. They all looked supremely weak and unprepared for the apocalypse. Even if they got out of this dungeon, they would probably perish in the game event that was starting soon. Thanks to you, we're all stuck here. The man yelled at me, getting right up in my face. I pushed him aside with a simple gesture, but instead of merely moving aside, his body tumbled across the floor until a giant plastic chair leg stopped him. Did you mean to do that? B asked me. No. But he did stab me with a screwdriver, so call it karma. The 3 people standing by the large door drew back as I came closer. It was clear they weren't friends with Hawaiian shirt guy, but people like him had a tendency to make indecisive losers orbit them. Like sheep following a shepherd. That's a red-pilled toxic mindset, Panda told me, commenting on my thoughts. I don't care, it's true. What's true? B asked, glancing at the 3 losers. Panda pointed at them, though they couldn't see him it seemed, and said, he thinks they are sheep. The beetle girl nodded slowly, then said, they don't look like sheep to me. It's a figure of speech, the plushie tried to explain. All right, back up a little, I said as I stopped in front of the workshop door. B took a step back, and the 3 people stepped even further away, while mumbling amongst themselves. I pointed my left hand at the door and then said, break. Ability confirmation required. You are about to utilize your break ability on workshop door, which will result in its total and utter destruction. Are you certain you wish to proceed? Yes, no. Image. Huh, that's odd, I remarked, starting to dread what the result would be if it required a confirmation. That being said, I quickly tapped the yes button. Ability confirmation required too. Are you absolutely certain you wish to proceed? Yes, no. Image. Yes. Ability confirmation required 3. No, but, for real. Are you utterly certain you wish to proceed? Yes, no. Image. Oh my god, how many times do I have to click yes? Ability confirmation required 4. Don't fuck with me. Are you sure? Yes, no. Image. Yes, goddamn it, I'm sure. Thankfully, a 5th confirmation message did not appear, and instead a tiny golden glowing droplet left my palm and lazily drifted towards the massive door. The bystanders and B, all of whom hadn't seen the confirmation screens, just looked at me like I was mad, only belatedly spotting the thing that had floated out of my hand. The golden droplet connected with the wooden door and there came a strange sound, a bit like a gong being hit, producing a long drawn-out and bassy woo-oo-oo. Light suffused the entire massive door like a spider web pattern on shattered glass, and from one moment to the next, the door became dust that quickly disappeared. That was very underwhelming, Panda commented. Hey, it got the job done at least. The three nearby losers shared glances amongst themselves, and I could hear them whispering, "He did it." And allowed myself a smug grin. With the door gone, a new dark room awaited us. Although the system messages had said that this was a less straightforward dungeon, that is no kill the boss and leave design, I had the ominous feeling that walking into the darkness wasn't just a straight path to freedom. Before I could voice such concerns, however, the three bystanders began moving through the threshold. I owed them nothing, but if they were walking into a trap, it would kind of be my fault for opening the way. "Come on," I said to B, and we followed after them into the darkness. As I passed through, it was the same experience as when I'd entered the psychiatrist's arena in the asylum, and when I turned around and tapped the veil in the doorway, I felt how it had become solid. I knew it. I muttered to myself. A second later B passed through as well. "That's a strange feeling," she commented, then looked past me to the middle of the room. "What's that?" I turned around and took in the arena. It was a workshop, but with the same theme of everything being much larger than normal, though, in this case, the chairs and other furniture were made for the giant clown I killed, meaning they were 4 times their normal size. Discarded toys and unfinished projects lay everywhere, but in the very center of the room stood an ominous colorful box. The wooden floor around it was cleared of other toys, as though this one was significant in some way. Pulling out my looking glass, I scanned it. Level 1. Suspicious box boss. X. Asterisk muffled laughter asterisk. The box itself is not much of a threat, but what it hides within is certain to give you nightmares. Image. As the 3 people ahead of us walked closer to inspect it, with no clear sense of self-preservation, the lid popped open and laughter preceded a figure that leapt out from within. I was still holding the glass to my eye, so his description popped up immediately. Level 10. Jack in the Box Boss X. I'll stab you good. Jack has been living in this box for a while, so he's a bit smelly, but do not let that distract you from the fact that he'll definitely try to stab you. Bungo trapped this former kindergarten teacher in his workshop and put clown makeup on his face and dressed him in a black trench coat, for some reason. Oh, and he also swapped his hands for 2 large blades. The result is rather mismatched, but don't worry too much about it. You could try and fight Jack, but it is not required to escape from Bungo's playroom. Why see, there's a convenient escape hatch beneath his box, but good luck getting to it without being sliced to ribbons. Image. I didn't even have time to put the looking glass away before the obese green-haired person was carved into 4 chunks, their blood going everywhere. Oof, Panda grimaced at the sight, as the man in the ruined suit and the woman in the pink jogging set both started running back towards us. There's an escape hatch under the box. I yelled, after reading the appraisal, but neither of the 2 tried to act upon this revelation. What do we do? Do we try to fight him or try to move the box? B asked. I don't think you have a choice in the matter, Panda remarked, as the suit-wearing man was knocked to the floor by Jack in the box and quickly disemboweled from the back. While laughing like a maniac, the boss began chasing down the woman who was only a few yards from us. Without thinking, I ran forward to intercept him. B raised her arm and took aim at the same time. Let's put this jackass back in his box, I yelled. That was really lame, Panda deadpanned. Chapter 17. I only have enough mana for 2 shots. B announced as I brushed past pink jogging set lady. I swung wildly to try and catch Jack in the box with a body blow, but he nimbly ducked under my arm, then spun like a blender blade and sliced shallowly through my left forearm and barely missing my legs. Moving to quickly prevent him from stabbing me with a follow-up move, I positioned myself to his left side and he turned to follow me. No sooner had he turned away from the direction B and the fleeing woman were than a buzzing beetle bolt tore into his armpit and emerged out the left side of his neck. The projectile flew on for a few more yards before losing its energy, spinning and scattering gore all the while. "Nice shot," I called, hopping forward with my knee aimed at Jack's stomach. But he was too quick for me to catch him up close, and as he dodged out of the way he took the front of my right foot with him, ruining the tip of my shoe and severing at least one of my toes. I winced in pain, and when I stepped down and tried to back away, the lack of my big toe was immediately obvious, as my balance was suddenly off-kilter. The system, ever annoying and interfering as it was, popped an achievement right in my face. "Congratulations! You have unlocked an achievement. X. This little piggy went to the industrial grinder, lost one of your big toes. This may seem just a slight inconvenience in the grand scheme of things, but you'll quickly realize just how debilitating an injury this is when you start trying to run or maintain balance. Reward, fingerless suck's image." "What's a fingerless suck?" Panda wondered, hanging on to my shoulder as I avoided nearly being disemboweled thanks to the distraction. Forced to look through the semi-transparent pop-up message, I managed to avoid 2 more slashes, before misjudging my timing and having both of Jack in the Box's blade hands rammed into my abdomen. All the air was punched out of my lungs and a metallic cold quickly washed through my lower body. Fortunately, if such a word could be used in this situation, he wasn't able to immediately retract his blades, thanks to me grabbing his throat in a vice grip. A buzzing sound warned me that another beetle bolt was on its way, and this one struck the boss right in his temple, but broke against the strength of his cranium. I gritted my teeth as I felt the cold radiate up to my lungs, an acrid fluid attempting to escape my esophagus, then prepared to headbutt Jack's tough noggin with my own, though I could feel how consciousness was beginning to elude me, as darkness flowed into the corners of my vision. With a cough, bile and blood emerged from my mouth, and I could feel in my gut how he was twisting his blades to try and wriggle free. Suddenly an angry and desperate yell came from nearby. I turned just in time to see Pink Jogging Set Lady come running with a crowbar in her hands. With a grunt of effort and a string of nonsensical curses, which might have been Russian unless my ears were deceiving me, the lady smashed the crowbar into the right side of the boss face. The same place where B had hit with her last shot. A satisfying crunch came from the impact, and I was pulled to the floor with Jack in the Box as he was knocked out cold. I slowly slid off of his blade hands, while the woman kept smashing him in the head with the crowbar, screaming and crying all the while. Each impact became less crunch and more splat with every repetition, until eventually she tossed the bloodied and sticky crowbar aside. With a loud preemptive gurgle, she spat on the boss' dead body. Then she looked at me, said something I didn't understand and began moving towards the box, walking past the dead man in the suit and the fat person who'd been chopped up. My vision was slowly fading as more of my blood leaked out onto the wooden floor of the workshop, but I felt the sensation when small hands grabbed my shoulders and began dragging me away. I blinked myself awake, suddenly outside again, the sun's light staining the distant sky. With a gasp I shot upright, seeing B talking with Panda nearby, and the crowbar lady hugging her knees a bit further away. We'd been dumped out into the sandy playground next to the kindergarten and all my wounds were healed. However, it seemed that my punch glove had been disintegrated permanently as it had not returned. I couldn't tell if it was meant to happen or if it was some sort of hotfix to prevent me from easily killing any other functionally immortal bosses in the future. "You're awake," Panda remarked, looking at me, not too concerned. "No thanks to you," I replied. "I'm the mascot, remember?" Instead of answering, I pulled my looking glass out of my inventory and looked at the crowbar lady through it. I wanted to remember the name of the person who had saved me, especially when I had initially written them off. I was perhaps a bit too quick to judge. Level 2. Tamili Player X. Poluchai Kuka. Buljaj, Ebonayim Rays. Poluchai. Kdokni. 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 Class, Mechanic. Main attributes, Strength, Vitality, and Perception. Prior to the apocalypse, Tamili made a hobby of tuning scooters and cars. She is the byproduct of white trash meets Russia, and, though she speaks English fluently, she prefers Russian. She has recently undergone a realization that perhaps she is cut out for the apocalypse after all, and all it took was smashing in the head of a boss that killed her friends. She seems indifferent towards you. Thanks to P10-P18 from my Discord for the Russian translation. Image. As though reminded by the pop-up, several other ones appeared from defeating the dungeon. Dungeon Bungo's Playroom cleared. Recommended player level, 10 recommended team size, 3 average player level, -1 player survivors, 4 player deaths, 8 enemies slain, 11 bosses slain, 2. Congratulations! You have unlocked an achievement. X. Bungo's Playroom first cleared Bungo's Playroom for the first time. We are obligated to give these achievements for any first-time clears of a dungeon, though I'd rather not reward someone who subverted the intended design of the challenge. But company policy. What can you do? Rewards, full recovery and party hat. Congratulations! You have leveled up. X. You have reached level -6. +1 new attribute point available to invest. Kills required for level -7. 4/20. Congratulations! You have unlocked an achievement. X. Optional Schmottlemel killed an optional boss. Do you even understand what optional means? Probably not, but whatever. You killed Jack in the Box, so your reward is thematic to his character. Do note that not all optional bosses will have rewards associated with them, as they are, optional. Reward, one of Jack's missing fingers. Congratulations! You have unlocked an achievement. X. Whittle Twired Wabi had to be carried out of a dungeon. I bet after all that hard work, you just want to take a nap while your friends continue to do all the heavy lifting, right? You disgust me. Reward, pacifier. Image. 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 I went through each of the achievements, growing more and more annoyed as I read them. It's a good thing the full recovery applied while you were out cold, Panda remarked. Otherwise, you'd have bled to death. You don't seem terribly distressed about that possibility. Well, I have been now, so it's fine if you die. Panda, that's not nice, B commented. Did you carry me out? I asked her, ignoring the dumb remark. I got a really mean achievement for it. I dragged you to the hole that Tammy opened. You know her? I asked, indicating the woman sitting next to a half-finished sand castle, still hugging her legs. Only a little bit, from before you entered the dungeon, when we were trying to stay alive together. Speaking of, it said there were 4 survivors. Does that mean that Hawaiian Shirt made it out? If he did, I haven't seen him. Maybe he is still inside. I guess it's because it's a different type of dungeon, I replied. What do you mean? Well, the other 2 I cleared teleported me out after I killed the boss, but it seems like everyone in the playrooms had to actually get to the exit in the workshop. Perhaps it's to counterbalance the fact that it's technically possible without doing any fighting. Never mind that right now. Panda interrupted. Your damn beacon is still active, I looked up in the sky, seeing how the pillar of light still made my location obvious from miles away. "Well, shit. Do you hear that?" B then asked. "It sounds like buzzing." "Crap. We need to get out of here," I told her, getting to my feet. Chapter 18. Why are we running? B yelled, as I basically dragged her by the hand, while moving as far away from the incoming buzzing sound as I could. "It's the Great Game Agents," I told her between breaths. "They are after me, because they think I'm a cheater." "That makes sense," she replied. "Someone gets it," Panda commented. "If you don't change your attitude, Panda, I'm chucking you at them," I told him. "Sheesh Gambit, you're in a foul mood." "I'm serious." Panda seemed to get the hint and relented. I let go of B's hand and opened my inventory, maintaining a steady jog, though the buzzing was still growing louder with every moment. Gambit's inventory X. A wanted posted that reads Gambit. A looking glass. I think that's a whistle. A wet set of pajamas. A neat black suit. A screwdriver. A pink phallic-looking flare. That's its only use. Don't get funny ideas now. Socks that were meant to be fingerless, but most definitely are intact. Thank you, AI artist Sam. A party hat. A pointing hand that was meant to be a single finger. Once again, thank you AI artist Sam. A succulent pacifier. Total inventory weight, 22.05 pandas. Image. I immediately pulled the finger out and inspected it. It was unnervingly warm and soft, and also a little bit hairy. One of Jack's missing fingers X. Obtained by defeating the optional boss, Jack in the Box, in Bungo's playroom. Since Jack had his hands taken away, he doesn't really need his fingers for anything. To unlock the rewards trapped within this still warm discarded human remains, you have to crack it like a glow stick. Weight, 0.75 pandas. Image. Ugh, why is it always like this? What is it? The boss reward. Did you already unlock yours? Yes, it was kind of gross to have to crack a finger in half like that. The options were pretty bad, but I got one for my class called Beetle Barrier that I can activate to harden my carapace and absorb hits for a short period of time. For some reason I thought only I could choose a skill tied to my glitched class. Panda cleared his throat, which was an odd mannerism. From my observations, it is clear that of the 3 skills offered from a boss reward, one is class-specific, and the other 2 are boss-specific. Thanks, genius, I replied. Hey, you asked. Crack. I snapped the finger in half, the bone jutting out. It was pretty gnarly. Thankfully, it quickly disappeared, before a pop-up followed. Choose your reward. X. Please don't blame us for the methods required for unlocking boss-specific rewards. The system came up with all of those. Anyway, that was pretty gross. Here are your reward options, I guess. Pick one of the options. I_can_fly pipe jackknife pipe sneaky box image. B had different options for that boss, Panda remarked. I_can_fly X. Ability. While birthday_suit is in full effect, you can activate this ability to slowly glide until you reach the ground or you consume all your stamina. But seriously, carefully consider the fact that you have to go naked for this to work. We urge you to just forget this ability exists. Jackknife X. Passive. Your dominant hand is replaced by a large unbreakable blade like the ones Jack in the Box had on his arms. But don't worry, you get to keep the hand we remove. For sentimental value, of course. Sneaky Box X. Ability. Be a little sneaky snake and spawn a box out of thin air to hide in. Although it is painfully obvious to other players that you are hiding in a box, it will fool all normal enemies. Duration, 5 minutes. Cooldown, 2 hours. Image. 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 After reading through the options, I selected the one for my class, although I doubted I'd ever use it. All the boss reward passives are really horrific body modifications. Do you think anyone is dumb enough to take those? It offered me a passive that would have given me a removable clown makeup, but would have also increased my dexterity by 5. Speaking of status, I put a point in dexterity, since I definitely needed more of that if I was to continue fighting up close without a ton of armor and health. Level -6. Gambit System Glitch X. This red bar loves you Stats. Health, not good. Stamina. Armor, plastic bottle suit. Carry weight, 1000 pandas. Top speed, mountain bike. Mana, literally 0. Attributes. Strength, 2,300 pounds. Dexterity, Joey. Intelligence, TBD. Vitality, Tomahawk. Athleticism. Perception, yes. Wisdom, not applicable. Defense, plastic bottle. Abilities. Passives. Punch. Harder. Break. I_can_fly. Glitch. Insanity. Inanimate voices. Math. Multiply. Punch. Birthday_suit. Image. What's a Joey? Asked Panda, looking at the new name next to my dexterity. It's a word for a baby kangaroo, I told him. I really wish I could see what your screens look like, B commented. It sounds absurd. There's probably a way, I told her, we just need to find the right system command for it. Like that weird unequip all one you used? I winced in anticipation of the command activating on her end. However, that did not happen. It gave me an error, she replied with a shrug. Don't ever do that again. I told her. You were about to put me in a lot of trouble. I'm on Gambit's side here. Panda yelled. Sorry. It seems the system at least prevents women and wayward minors from using that specific command. That's such a peculiar kind of consideration, I replied, surprised. I'm telling you, Gambit, I don't think these great game people are that bad. You said the same thing about the mayor. I'm still of that mindset, he replied stubbornly. But think about it, they want to protect kids, they punish rule breaking, and they don't like nudity. They also made all public transport into fucking monsters. What's the point you're trying to make here? They are not trying to protect kids, B said, slowing down to a walk. Although the buzzing was coming closer, I slowed down with her. What do you mean? Those Child Protective Services ant guys gave me a pamphlet before I escaped them. The children's zone is basically a farm and petting zoo. Though Panda's face was knitted on, it still managed to look shocked and outraged. I knew it. I said, glad that my suspicions had been confirmed. I knew those fucks weren't doing it because of morals. They probably eat kids as soon as they mature or something. Suddenly the buzzing noise of our pursuer was almost directly overhead. I looked up and saw that 4 of the beetle agents were slowly gliding down towards us on their wings. Warning! Great game agents are coming to investigate cheating and rule breaking. All players in the area, get on the ground and prepare for invasive probing. Non-compliance will be punished. Fuck. Do you have any more shots of your beetle bolt? The full recovery restored all my mana, so I can do 7 shots. Shoot them down. Quick. Aim for the wings or something. B started lifting her palm upwards to follow my orders, but then Panda yelled, Gambit, you idiot. Those guys are level 60? Just run. It's too late to run. I yelled. Do I take the shot? I racked my mind, trying to figure out what the best move was, but then I came upon a brilliant idea. Hey, "Do you think the agencies of the Great Game get on well?" I asked with a devious grin. "What do you mean?" Panda asked, but then realization dawned on his face. "Don't you dare." I pulled the Child Protective Services flare out of my inventory. Before either Bee or Panda could stop me, I'd pulled the top off and used it to ignite the pink flare, which I lifted up above my head, as though daring the descending agents to come closer. Although they were humanoid beetles in full carapace armor, I could tell they were thinking the same thing. Ah fuck. Suddenly the area around us lit up with 3 giant pink glowing overlapping triangles, before an announcement went out to the area. "Warning! Child Protective Services are coming to respond to a wayward miner in distress. All amoral perverts beware, for you will be exterminated if found within the landing zone of the approaching vessel. Those accompanying the wayward miner can breathe easy and prepare to accept their reward for bringing them to safety. A full area scan will now commence." The air suddenly hummed, before the same pink light from the triangles washed over Bee, myself, and the 4 approaching agents and their winged potato airship above. Then something like a sonic boom sent a shockwave out across the air, making both of us stumble, while the agents struggled to maintain their steady approach from above. My eyes widened as I saw the enormous glistening black ship in the sky above. It was easily the size of a cruise liner. "Warning! Amoral perverts detected. Prepare for extermination." "Now we run," I said and grabbed Bee by the hand.